Okay, I'm going to give a very brief introduction because I haven't been able to find any, I don't want to, I better not say, I don't want to get connected with our president and say dirt, so I don't know, but it's a survey we did a few weeks ago. You were not well known in the community, but we're going to make you more well known. The only thing I was able to find on Jason was he was a good guy. And I said, the other said, would he speak to us? Yes, he will. And I had no problem getting him to come over here, and we appreciate that. And Jason, I think, is going to tell us about your background a little bit and how you got this job, and then how the county is run. And Rick Spacuzza was here 2 weeks ago, and he must have listened because I saw in the paper today that the taxes were going to go down just a couple cents. So we're welcome. Let's welcome Jason Matthys. Thanks.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I do appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk with you again for the sake of time management. Very 10,000-foot view on what I'm going to give you. Certainly, if there are questions at the end, ask away. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of components with county government. But as Franz mentioned, my name is Jason Matthys, and I'm currently the administrative coordinator for Pierce County. Background on me: I was raised in Barron, Wisconsin, attended college in Eau Claire, and became employed in Pierce County in 2000. So I'm not the new guy to the county anyway. My family: I live in Spring Valley with my wife and 3 kids, 18, 16, and 10. So we're participating in a lot of the last things with our senior, which is kind of heartbreaking. She loves volleyball, very good at volleyball, and they had their last game Tuesday of the career, and I had to miss it because we had county board that night. So, but onward and upward. I hope she plays some good volleyball in college, so I can come and watch that. Where have I been? Started in law enforcement, Pierce County Sheriff's Office in 2000, and worked in that capacity until 2019. My county service thus far has been as a jailer dispatcher, patrol deputy, DARE officer, was also a DARE officer here in Prescott, SWAT operator, patrol sergeant, patrol lieutenant, SWAT commander, chief deputy sheriff, served as the interim administrative coordinator for about 8 or 9 months, and did apply, interviewed, and was selected as the administrative coordinator. Recent project oversight on my behalf is the design lead and project management of the new jail and sheriff's office. That was a $1 million project, as well as the design and project management of a new 911 center and emergency communications upgrade that goes across the county. So we have 5 radio tower sites that house equipment. Part of that $1.5 million was for that equipment to not only digitize, but we also simulcast. And I could get into like 2.5-hour dissertation on radio and how it works and why it's necessary. But really what the intent for that is to serve all the public safety practitioners in the county, highway law enforcement, fire, EMS, et cetera, et cetera. Why the change, right? And this, honestly, the reason I picked that picture is that's probably the most accurate depiction of the sheriff's face when I told her that I was leaving the office and was going to administration. As I progressed through my career and became more involved in the administrative functions of the office, there were a lot of things that were intriguing to me. I found that my approach to things within the office was really beneficial to some other people's growth, professional growth. And that's really what I think our objectives should be as managers, is creating windows of opportunity for those people that we lead to benefit their professional development. So I did apply for, the county had Plan A and a Plan B. Historically, they have always gone out to market for administrative coordinators, and Springstead, we have paid anywhere between $15,000 and $17,000 to do that search for us. And people from around the country will come and interview and so forth. They wanted to take a little bit of a different approach because of the way that history has been with those positions. Typically, people in those positions will come, let's just say we get somebody from Pennsylvania, okay, and they're great at what they do. They come here. Typically, the trend is they stay for 3 to 5 years, and they either retire or they move on to bigger and better things. So the county said we want to look at longevity, and really plan A was to search for any internal talent. Is there anybody inside our organization that has the qualities and concepts that will be beneficial to the county? If they weren't able to find what they were looking for, then we'd go out to market. The good thing is that sends a message throughout your entire workforce that even if it's not any of us that is selected, at least we had an opportunity to participate in the promotional process. So fortunately for me, there were 4 or 5 of us, I think, that interviewed from the county. And I was selected unanimously by the board to serve as the administrative coordinator. Pierce County. County consists of 412 employees, full-time, part-time, seasonal, and elected. And there's 24 departments. So these are some of the things when we get into the nitty-gritty that some people don't really realize the magnitude of how many different various departments that there are within county government. For us, we have 24. Every county's a little bit different, but theoretically, with the services that we provide are essentially inherently the same. The county departments consist of administration, circuit court, county clerk, emergency management, highway, information services, land management, maintenance, county parks, register of deeds, solid waste and recycling, university extension, aging and disability resources, corporation counsel, district attorney, fair, human services, land conservation, sheriff's office, medical examiner, public health, register and probate, treasurer, and veterans services are the 24 departments. County services that we provide, again, 10,000 foot view. This is not intended to be all inclusive because there are things that we provide services to people that are not necessarily on the list, such as law enforcement, highway, and so forth, but aging and disability, birth certificates, child support assistance, computer mapping and GIS, that's out of our land management office, counseling, court actions, death certificates, divorce papers, Division of Motor Vehicle Services, dog license information, election information, education and information, environmental health, financial assistance, fishing licenses, foreclosure sales, health screenings, hunting licenses, immunizations and records, land information, land use permits, manure storage permits, marriage certificates, marriage applications, medical assistance, mental health assistance, mortgage satisfactions, passports, payment of fines, plat and survey maps, real estate documents, real estate taxes, recycling, reproductive health, restraining orders, sanitary permits, small claims, tax deeds, vehicle tabs, and WIC services. We also support recreation. Now again, I'm not going to list off everything that we do for recreation. A lot of it, some of it you guys are aware of, whether snowmobile trails, ATV trails, etc. If we're not providing those services, we're providing the safety and patrol aspects to make sure that those trails are safe. Some of the things that we have to offer on the east side of the county is Nugget Lake County Park. It does support camping, fishing, gold panning, hiking, cross-country skiing. Lower right-hand corner is a recent photo of some folks panning for gold in one of the streams that runs into Nugget Lake. And on the left is one of the newest camping cabins that are in Nugget Lake. You can do boat rentals, kayak rentals, like I said, snowshoeing. There's a whole host of things that you can do, and that is a county park that we supply and maintain. We also supply educational forests. This particular one is the Lee K Family Educational Forest, located off of Highway 29 outside of Spring Valley. It's a 40-acre parcel. There's parking. It's free. It's available to anybody from sunrise to sunset. There are some hiking trails within, and as you're walking through the hiking trails, it'll give you educational components of what the trees are, plants, and so forth. So it is kind of just a neat thing for especially some of our younger folks to get out and learn. Next up is budget season, okay? So we've been actively working on the 2020 budget since May. These are things that are usually the big talk of the county, and in the end of the game, most people, what's it gonna do to my taxes, right? I mean, that's the big question. And so when we're working on budget, this is really what everybody really feels like. I borrow money, they want me to pay it back, it's painful, you gotta figure it out. The county's budget overall proposed for 2020 is $46,401,786. Now we collect from program revenues, state, federal aids, and sales tax, $26,328,480, which leaves us with a rough county levy of $20,073,306. There are some things that we would subtract off of that 20 million, like our debt service, county aid to bridges, and county aid to libraries, which then brings us down to what our actual operating budget is. Operating budget was $16,155,000 and some change for 2020. Tuesday, we took the proposed budget in front of the county board for a first reading. It was approved to move forward to a second reading and adoption. That meeting will be on November 12th at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's a day meeting. There'll be a budget hearing and adoption of the budget. I don't anticipate any changes. However, if there are any, that's when that will take place. So again, what's that mean to you guys? It means that there's a decrease in the mill rate with this budget that provides a savings of $24 per $100,000 valuation of taxpayer. No reserve funds were used for operating costs. No increased health insurance rates for employees. This, quite frankly, leaves the county in a good financial position, and that was brought forward by some outside folks. Had a chance to look and review our books. Came to a meeting. I wanted their interpretation to make sure that it corresponded with what my interpretation of the 2020 budget was. So how's the county managed? Now I could spend, again, about an hour and a half on just what all of the prongs and components of county management is. But from a 10,000 foot view, really what that means is that these are the prongs that are really important. Okay? The county board, finance and personnel committee, standing committees, administrative coordinator, department heads, managers, and staff. And I'm right smack dab in the middle of that. And how this happens is if a department head realizes that they need an increase in staff, they need an increase in their budget, they need to make a capital improvement or a capital purchase. They bring that to my attention. We work collaboratively to determine what is absolutely necessary. Let's get a specific dollar amount or what have you, and we bring that to the standing committee. Let's say it's human services, for example. We would bring that in front of their human services board. Now these standing committees, there's 17 people on the county board. Those 17 people are assigned to these various standing committees. So you could have one county board member on a standing committee with some citizens at large, etc. That affords the opportunity for them to help bring that information forward, make sure that their constituents are aware of what's happening, and also educate the other county board members who not sit on that committee. If there's a fiscal impact, it's going to come to Finance and Personnel Committee, which is the next step. And if it requires legislation by way of a resolution, it will go to the county board. So yes, they say government often operates slowly. Well, this is why. These committees only meet per month, okay? So it could take us 3 months to get something approved. The good thing is a lot of people have had their hands on it along the way. So something getting slipped between the cracks is I don't know. I really, quite frankly, don't know how you'd be able to do it. So that's a good thing. Checks and balances. What's new for 2020 as far as our operations? We're going to have some new positions coming in 2020. First and ever, we'll have an operations data analyst. We have not ever had one before. This position is becoming more and more popular with municipal government and county government across the nation. There's not a ton of them out there yet, but the popularity is starting to grow. Why is that important to us? If we, as a county, wanted to take a look at an overall operational efficiency of one particular department, The only thing that we have tangible to us today is to craft an RFP, put it out to market, and solicit bids from vendors to come in and conduct that study for us. They'll come in, they'll conduct a study, they'll generate a report, they'll provide the report for which is read at Finance and Personnel as well as the county board. And that can cost the county anywhere between $25,000 and $70,000 to do those studies. So myself, as well as some of the county board members, had talked and said, I think it's important that we maybe take a look at this. This position, quite frankly, over time is going to pay dividends for us as an organization, as well as help pay their salary by flushing out some of these efficiencies throughout the year. And not only does that help us as government, but this person's also available and tangible to the department heads. If the department head themselves wanted to figure out how can I maximize my efficiency and really lower my fiscal impact, can you help me flush this out? Now we've got our own staff member who's tangible and available to come in and work with that department head to flush those things out, as well as help the department head bring that out through the standing committees and finance and personnel. So I'm really excited about that. That'll start January 1st. As you guys know, we have an issue across our great nation with mental health and children being taken from their homes. We have drug problems. It impacts a lot of prongs of county government. When we talk about the sheriff's office, human services is a huge hit. The district attorney's office, circuit court, all of those people really collaboratively work together to mitigate these issues, but they've really magnified themselves in the last few years. So the human services director had brought forward a proposal to bring on 2 fully state-funded child protection social workers for January 1, as well as a comprehensive community services social worker, which is funded by Medicaid reimbursement. So those staff will come on board on January 1st. And lastly, we'll have increased supervision in 911 dispatch and sheriff's patrol for 2020. What do we plan to do? We're going to continue our relationships with local schools for increased youth mental health. This is one thing that we have been doing, but I think that we need to intensify that. Spring Valley, Elmwood, and Plum City have worked out a deal where there's a grant-funded position for 2 years that they're going to bring somebody on, a full-time staff member, to work with those 3 school districts particularly, and identify and provide some of these youth mental health services. We're going to continue to evaluate programs provided by the county to ensure that they meet the current needs and trends of the community. When I came on staff in January, the first department head meeting that I had held, I had asked everybody to task themselves with one thing. I'm not asking for you to reduce your budgets. What I'm asking for you to do is to take a look at what services your department provides the community and make sure that it meets current trends today. Because the trends today are not the same as they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And we need to get rid of the attitudes of why are we doing that? Because that's the way we've always done it. This is a time that we need to make a significant change and really work collaboratively, not only internally, but out in our community. Personally, this is a goal of mine, is to increase staff engagement and retention through employee appreciation and promote wellness. Now, we've done these things, but you guys may have felt the same. You work, you do a great job, and maybe once out of the year do you get a pat on the head saying, hey, nice job on that particular thing, but nothing on the others, okay? So this is something that we really need to improve on to make sure that we retain our staff, and irregardless of the position that they're in, we need to afford them the opportunity to grow professionally and to be involved in the overall outcome. And how are we going to do that? Okay, this year was the first ever County Employee Appreciation Day. It was September 12th on a Thursday. Myself, 2 county board members, and another department head fired up our tow-behind grills at about 6:30 in the morning, and we cooked 6 cases of chicken, and we served potato salad, coleslaw, cookies and chips and whatnot. The event was held at the Cypress Building on the Pierce County Fairgrounds and available to county employees at absolutely no cost for them to come in, for us to show our appreciation to them. A young man out of River Falls, his name is Ari Silver. Some of you guys might know who he is. His dad has a band, but Ari kind of plays a little bit on his own. He's phenomenal. he's 18 years old, just graduated high school in River Falls. And I talked to him and he said, I'd love to come up there and help show my appreciation and gratitude to the county employees. So Ari was in the corner playing music for us. It was a great event. People were very appreciative. Any of the items that were as giveaways were donated items by our insurance companies, Chippewa Valley Technical College, and some of our large-scale vendors were happy to provide T-shirts, water bottles. One of our insurance companies gave the wireless speaker, or headphones, a wireless speaker, blah, blah, blah. But pretty much everybody that attended was able to walk away with something, even if it's something small. Very well attended. There's some apprehension because everybody kind of wonders if there's strings attached. There wasn't, and so I think next year we'll probably double the attendance of what we had. It was rainy and kind of crummy that day, but it was indoors. It was good. We had about 130, 135 people attend. We promote wellness by doing some things that are really don't have a fiscal impact. Okay, we do a noon fun walk run a couple of times a year, and it's you can walk as far as you want. You can run a 5K, but along the way, our insurance risk manager has put up signs of some suggested measures of how they can benefit themselves by healthier diets, better sleep, those kinds of things. We do a county newsletter that we also pump out to employees, and we've done I was really surprised at how many people participated in a water challenge, and that really encompasses everybody. And it was fun. You could do it on your own. It was a month. Try and do so many ounces a day for 30 days. Check the boxes, make sure that you've completed those tasks and submit it to her. And there was a drawing at the end of that as well. We're introducing a new county employee assistant program for 2020. When I sat down with our insurance risk manager looking at what can we change for 2020 and how can we not only appreciate our staff, but how can we make sure that these staff who really don't like the limelight, make sure that they get the services that they need, especially if they're in crisis themselves. So we really looked at everything. We went to market, worked with our partners, and I said there are a couple of things that I feel that we absolutely need. Everybody has a cell phone. The generation, okay, I'm just going to speak for myself. Generations 45 and under typically want to have something that's tangible to them in their pocket. If I'm in crisis right now, I want to be able to get a hold of somebody. And so how do we do that? Empathia, Life Matters is who we're partnering with. They will hit everybody from tip to tail. They still do your conventional face-to-face, phone calls, walk-ins, those kinds of things. But they've also got an app on their phone where you can do a secure text, secure video chat, secure email. Immediately, you can be talking to a counselor to flush out some of those issues that you're having right now, rather than making an appointment and waiting 2-3 weeks to have your crisis listened to. So I'm excited about that. So really, that's Pierce County in a nutshell. Again, we could talk and talk. Hopefully, I was able to deliver at least a little bit of what you were looking for. I do appreciate you guys giving me an opportunity to come in and talk to you. I was a little apprehensive at first, but the sheriff said, listen, it's going to be fine. They're great people. It's real casual. They're not going to tear you apart. That's okay. And that's what we'll do. If anybody wants to get into contact with me, this is my contact information. And if you don't want to or don't have the time to write down my information, I am at the county courthouse every day of the week, 8 to 4:30. So you can call the courthouse and ask for me, and they'll certainly get a hold of me. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, another one? Okay. What about the job causes you to lose sleep at night?
The most difficult thing for me, honestly, is budget season, and
this is your first one, though, is that right?
Actually, I was the interim administrative coordinator previously for 8 months, so I did last year's budget and then this year's budget as well. But really, my hat's off to our finance director and assistant finance director. They're phenomenal people. They do a great job, and we work very well together. They really like to do work on their own, go back and crush numbers, and if they got questions, they'll come and talk to me, and we'll take an angular approach to make sure that we're going to come in at under budget. Sometimes you're not necessarily going to hit the mark because some numbers like the shared revenue we don't know until September, and we've already really kind of finalized a lot of the budget, and then we apply that number at the end, and that's really where it's going to tell you how much are you over, how much are you under. But anyway, they do a great job. And people, if you really had to ask it, it's really no different than my previous job. I worry about the people. Especially if you learn that one of your employees is in some kind of crisis and you want to fix the situation, but you realize that you're only one person, and sometimes they're not going to give you everything that you need to help them. They need an outside source, like an EAP. So I do worry about the people and their health, and our society has changed so dramatically from what it was when I started, But I guess in a nutshell, that's kind of what.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, your budget, so you said it's like $46 million, right?
Yeah.
So 26 comes from tax, like the actual tax base? How is that broken? It seemed the 20 was like a levy or something, right?
Yeah, so when we compile our budget, okay, and we're not going to talk about revenues, nothing. We're just going to talk about what are the county's expenses. This is what the expense is that we have out of the top. Now, out of that $46 million, what of that, like when I talked about we're adding 3 positions that are fully funded. Okay, now the caveat is there's a sunset on there. If the funding goes away, so does the position, because we don't want to have our hands tied to where we lose that funding. And now what are we going to? We have to cut something, lay somebody off, or lose a program that's important. So this $26,328,000 is all revenue. Those are the revenues, and we apply that to our cost. This is what our actual county levy is $20 million.
Okay, and that's covered how? Through property taxes?
Yes.
County levy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the $24 per 100,000?
$24 per 100,000 is actually what's going to be saved by the taxpayer.
Oh, gotcha.
Yep. Yep.
I'm a former public health nurse, so
Yeah.
I know you're closing home care this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
And I understand why there's very low reimbursement rates for Medicare and Medica, or Badgecare. And they've worked to refer people to places in Pierce County. Where is that budget staying within public health to help other programs? You said they kind of, are looking at what works, what doesn't work, so that obviously isn't working anymore. So.
Well, it's kind of a
That could be
loaded question,
rerouted?
and the best way that I can address that is kind of back to what I'd mentioned before. Let's take public health, for example, and I come into public health and say, listen, we've done business for eons this way. Where do you see this going?
Yeah.
How can we deliver the best high-level service today,
Yeah.
and without duplication of services? So so you look at home care, for example, where there's fewer people that are participating. The reimbursement rates are lower,
Yeah.
and like significantly lower.
Yeah.
And at year end, you're trying to tie up loose ends of a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so, although our job is to provide those services that are not popular, whether they cost us money or they don't, because it's what the needs of the community are. However, if there's another vendor in our community who's able to provide the same level, if not a higher level of service that we are specific to home care, then let's analyze that and
Yeah,
determine
I know
whether or
that's
not.
been impacted greatly by assisted living, and there are other agencies out there to pick up.
Yeah.
What do you see with, I've got some friends in human services, and that, it's just booming. I know they talked about the number of children who are in foster care, and the grandparents raising kids, and the aunts and uncles raising kids, and the drug and alcohol and impact on children. It seems like it's just mushrooming.
It is. And so we locally, as well as people at the state level, are trying to identify how can we best approach that. Because again, doing business the way that we've done conventionally just isn't
Yeah.
the way of doing business. So And I don't have the date specifically. I want to say 13, 14 is when the county really jumped on the wagon of CCS, Comprehensive Community Services. It's really it's a different prong, okay, of human services in the conventional way of which we've done mental health. A person with mental health issues, as long as they're screened in, they meet the criteria of the program, they are basically provided with an agenda of sorts, and it's up to them to follow that agenda. Now, there's certain aspects of treatment that they need to do. They might do some inpatient, outpatient. They're going to do one-on-one therapy. They're going to do group therapy. Another prong of CCS is equine therapy, and there is some history that shows that this equine therapy with some people does really help with mood displacement, and so those are all pieces of CCS, which is a different way of responding to mental health than we have before. One of the things that I'm going to be talking with the Human Services Director as well as the judge is family court. You've got an offender, and you've got the children who have been impacted by the offender, and you've got the spouse who is trying to pick up the pieces. Okay, now we're providing services to the offender to try and make sure that they are well adjusted and before they're injected back into society. The trouble is we're doing nothing for the people that we're injecting them back with. And so I think it would be we may be better served if we introduce family court in Pierce County and help the family move forward and heal, rather than just the one individual. But again, that's some further discussions. I'm going to look for some funding sources out there to help us to do that. It's not new. I mean, it's something that aspect has been out for at least a couple of years. Not so much popularity in our region, but I think it certainly would be.
Well, I know we're so impacted. We've had law enforcement talk to us about being the alternate route for drug peddlers, because we've got 3 highways coming into Pierce County, and they're trying to avoid I-94. So just reading the paper, if you get stopped for a broken tail light or anything else, there's so much drugs and stuff trafficked through Prescott that it puts us in a really precarious position, and thus it affects everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I think it's about 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.